Mr. Deputy Speaker. The condition of school buildings is very important, and it affects learning, and it's very much the reason why the government is currently funding over 1,000 school improvement programmes through a 1.8 billion investment. And that's part of a much wider amount of money being put into schools, 58.8 billion in the 24-25 year, which would be the largest amount going into schools that there has ever been. My constituency has benefited from that. My constituency runs from Wallingford to Shrivenham, and schools from Wallingford to Shrivenham have benefited particularly from the Condition Improvement Fund. 9 schools so far, including Wallingford School and St John's Primary yesterday. But while the condition of the building is very important, what goes on inside the building is also very important. And I will never tire of reminding the members elected opposite in 2019 that they stood on a manifesto to abolish SATs, abolish Ofsted and abolish academy schools. I would very much like to hear what they think about the fact that we've just come fourth in the global rankings for reading last week. I'd like to hear what they think about their friends at the NEU keep calling strikes in the run-up to exams for children who miss so much school time during COVID. What would their approach be if they were in government to those unions? Would it be beer and sandwiches? Because the NEU runs statements every day welcoming whatever Labour say. They run paid-for social media ads against Conservative colleagues. They clearly think they'll get a better deal from the Labour Party. So what would it be? Now, I like counting things, and honourable members will know that last time we had an education debate, I counted how many times the leader of the opposition talked about education in his speech setting out his vision for the country. It was 0. I counted how many policies the Labour Party have on education. There are 2. Breakfast clubs, a policy they like so much that they've announced it twice, March 2021, and then they announced it again 18 months later. I'm afraid that doesn't count as an additional policy. That's just the same policy being repeated. And the other one is VAT on private schools, which few people believe would raise any money, but is small fry for the whole of the education system. So what we find here over and over again is this sort of student union vibe of bringing motions. We've had 8 Opposition Day motions on education from the Labour Party since the general election. So 0 times from the Leader of the Opposition mentioning it, 2 policies, but 8 debates. And today's motion is a classic example of one of those things because there's no policy in it. It doesn't say if we're spending too much, it doesn't say if we're spending too little, it doesn't say what Labour would do, it doesn't say how it would pay for it. It's just another attempt, as my honourable friend, the chair of the Select Committee said, to try and strike fear into people about what's going on in our schools. I will give way.
Grateful to my Oxfordshire colleague for giving way, and I too have secondary schools in our county. I'm curious whether he's had the same representations I had by heads in Oxfordshire who are desperate for their buildings to be improved. I've got one school whose toilets have become such no-go areas that a child said they no longer drink when they go to school because they are scared to go in them. Now, this is a great school, it's outstanding, and what goes in it is fantastic, but surely on school buildings, you would agree, improvement can be made and the government needs to help.
Well, I said at the start, the condition of school buildings is very important, and as my honourable friend on the front bench set out, lots of these schools are being rebuilt as part of this, and I said I've got 9 that are being rebuilt. But to go back to the Labour Party, seeing as it's their motion, if we look at what's happened in Wales, there's been, where they are in charge, there's been no audit of their school conditions since 2017. So again, it's do as we say, but not as we do. Now, the Labour Party is currently into setting missions. We don't have a lot of policy. We're told the Shadow Chancellor is stopping there being a lot of policy because she doesn't want to make unfunded spending commitments. I don't think it can be that because we're already up to £90 billion of unfunded spending commitments. We just don't seem to have many in education. But they are into missions, setting missions, which seem to be big statements with no detail about how you'll achieve them. Surprise, surprise, we haven't had one yet for education, so I've got a suggestion. Let's have a mission for this area. Let's have the Labour Party have a big 5-year mission to find some education policy.